started. Is this working?
Welcome everybody. Let's start by welcoming members of the committee and officers and members of the public to our meeting. This meeting is being webcast. The emergency evacuation procedure is as follows. In the event of the alarm sounding again, please leave the room calmly by the lobby area and the main front door of City Hall. Turn right, walk down the ramp towards the cathedral, and the assembly point is in front of the cathedral. As you've heard, there's a fire alarm test 10 o'clock every Friday, which coincides with the start of our meeting. So my name is Councillor Barry Parsons. I'm a councillor for Eastern and I'm the chair of this committee. And I'd like to begin by asking the members of the committee to introduce themselves. Beginning with Richard, if your microphone is working.
It is Councillor Richard.
Councillor Shawala, Bristol Central.
Councillor Guy Conley from Cotton, substituting in today.
Councillor Izzy Russell for Ashley Ward, and I'm also substituting.
Councillor Caroline Gooch for Washington Henleys.
Councillor Zoe Peat, Avonmouth and Lawrence Western Ward.
Councillor Lido Rama, Bradley from Hale Ward.
And Rob Logan, I'm Councillor for Thorwood. This is my first meeting.
Thank you very much, everybody. And welcome to Rob and Caroline. It's good to have you here. I will ask members of our officer corps to introduce themselves as and when the relevant item comes up. We'll move on now to agenda item 2, which is apologies for absence and substitutions. As we've heard, apologies have been received from Councillor Lisa Stone. Councillor Izzy Russell is substituting, and apologies have been received from Councillor Jerome Thomas, Councillor Guy Poultney substituting. Are there any other apologies? Wonderful. Agenda item 3 is declarations of interest. So now's the point when I ask committee members, do you have any interest to declare in relation to any of the items of business on the agenda today? Wonderful. Agenda item 4 is minutes of the previous meeting. There's one set of minutes to be approved, and that's from the meeting held on Friday the 4th of April 2025. I would like to move these minutes as a correct record. May I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Eddy. Now I'm going to ask the committee formally, are you content to confirm these sets of minutes as a correct record to be signed by me as chair? Right. Thank you very much. We'll move on now then to agenda item 5, which is Chair's announcements. This is an opportunity for me to make any announcements that I think are relevant to this committee. So, first of all, I'd like to welcome Sonia Fersland, who's sitting to my right. Sonia is our new Executive Director for Housing, and this is Sonia's first committee meeting in that role. Sonia is a distinguished leader in the housing sector. She's held roles in local authorities as well as in housing associations, and we're extremely grateful to have her on the team. I would say I think that the appointment of an executive level director for housing really demonstrates the commitment that this administration has to putting housing and homes at the highest priority for what we do. A few more announcements. We're launching a consultation today on changes to the home choice allocation system. That will end on Friday the 11th of July at midnight. And this proposes making some changes to the banding for people on housing in response to some of the matters that have arisen from the MedAct report on Barton House and the events surrounding the evacuation there. A few more announcements. On housing delivery, this week we launched the Small Sites Aggregator. This is a partnership between cities and central government to unlock small plots of land for development. So Bristol City Council, along with Sheffield and the London Borough of Lewisham, have been selected as pathfinders for this. And we've really been leading this work in partnership with the Mayoral Combined Authority and central government. This is the kind of close working, I think, between this local authority, the Combined Authority and central government that we'll be looking to do more of as we seek to find ways of unlocking opportunities for homes which are desperately needed for the city. And these will be homes that are available at affordable rents for people in need of housing. We've also been moving forward with housing developments. Redwood Crescent in Witherwood and Woodland Road in Brislington are two council housing developments that have recently gone forward to planning application phase. So we're really pleased to see those move forward. And I'd also like to mention that some of our recently completed council housing developments have been receiving awards. So at the South West Regional Residential Property Awards, our schemes at Lawrence Weston, New Kingsland and St Peters all won awards in different categories. And I think that speaks to our commitment to providing high quality homes for people in the city. Finally, I'd just like to mention the end-of-year figures for our Tackling Homelessness programme. So for the first time, we've seen the rate of subsidy loss. That's the amount of money that we lose on the central government funding for providing accommodation for homeless households. Subsidy loss has reduced for the first time, and that programme has delivered £4.8 million of savings against a target of 2.7 million over last year. So that's dramatically exceeded its target. And we've also seen a very dramatic reduction in the number of families housed in hotels and shared accommodation. So that's down from 160 families at the start of the civic year in 2024 to just 9 families in April of this year. So that's real progress and something that will mean better outcomes for families that become homeless in our city. That's the end of my announcements, so we can move on now to public forum. Now, up to 30 minutes are available for public forum. Questions and replies were circulated to committee members and were published on the website in advance of the meeting. Each questioner is permitted to ask up to 2 oral supplementary questions in total, if they wish. Supplementary questions must arise directly out of the original question or the reply. So entirely fresh questions on other subjects aren't permitted. Depending on the content of the supplementary questions, it may be necessary for a follow-up reply to be sent to the question. Thank you very much. So I'm going to begin by calling members of the public who've asked questions to ask them if you'd like to ask any further supplementary questions. So as a reminder, you have 2 supplementary questions. Your original question and the reply have been published on the website. So I'm going to begin by calling on Fatima Farah. Fatima, do you have supplementary questions?
I was disappointed that I didn't get the answer of the question that I asked. My question was specifically about whether the emails and other messages would be available for the investigation, for Barton House investigation, as he was the main person who was in charge in the council at that time.
Do you have a supplementary question from that?
Yes, my question is, do I need to, is those emails and messages will be available for the investigation, Barton House investigation?
Okay, so I think, so that's kind of a restatement of your original question, isn't it? And I think officers have done their best to answer about that. What I would say, I think, is that the terms of reference of that review haven't yet been set, and that will be something that will be done along with residents. And I would expect that any evidence that's necessary for that review to go forward should be made available to it. So I realise that's not perhaps kind of the answer to your question that you're looking for. I really don't know sort of what specific evidence will be required for that review to take place yet.
Well, he was the one who was in charge in the council. My question is, if the investigation, because the emails and messages have been deleted, how are they going to find it? That's the question I want to find out.
I think we might have to go away and consult with colleagues on the answer to that, because I'm really not sure myself about what the retention policies for the council's email systems and that sort of thing. So I think that would be something that colleagues who aren't currently in this room would have to answer.
Let's take turns and I'm going to get my phone at our base. I don't know. I think it's just.
Do you have another supplementary question? I think maybe you've asked one, but first was the restatement of your original question. So if you'd like to ask a further question, please do.
No.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move on then to our next question. That's Councillor Christine Townsend. Christine, you had two questions on the private rented sector. Do you have supplementary questions that you'd like to ask?
Yes, please. So my first one is in relation to the Hampton Road case. So this landlord pleaded guilty. It was a pattern of behaviour, and the things that this landlord did does relate to conditions on the HMO licensing licence. So I think my question for Chair and Committee is, if a guilty plea from an HMO landlord holder is not enough to trigger a fit and proper person review test, what would be?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to answer that. This will be one that I'll need to take away. I think on the face of it, the question you asked is quite reasonable, given that there has been a case and someone has pled guilty without knowing the full details of what they pled guilty to. It's difficult for me to offer a review, and Tom Gilchrist, who is our head of service for this area, unfortunately isn't here. But I'm very happy to take this question away and provide a full response to you in terms of what the criteria would be for triggering a fit and proper person review for someone who is currently licensed as a landlord by the BCC.
Do you have another supplementary question?
Yeah, my second is in relation to data, really. So I'm not interested in officers going away and ploughing and putting new data sets together, but what I am interested in is the latest set of data that looks at the number of licences that were applied for. I mean, it might be 12 months or 24 months, whatever. The number of HMO licences that were applied for, the number that were refused at point of application because the fit and proper person test was applied and they failed it, and the number within that same period that this council attempted or succeeded to revoke as a result of the fit and proper person test being applied and that person having shown to be failed by within their practices?
Again, if it's okay, I'm very happy to take that request away and to pull together that data for you and share it.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to. Yeah, thanks. Do I get through?
Do you have a further question? We haven't got that many questions today, so I think we can flex it.
Okay, so I mean, my third question is again in relation to the fit and proper person test. So there is guidance that the council will use to put that policy together. If it's found that the practices of HMO licensee holders is deemed by this chair and committee to be so egregious that the policy doesn't fit around that, can you call the policy back and tighten it? If you consider that the current policy doesn't serve the public, as we are all here to serve the public and not private landlords.
Thanks, Christine. Sonia, do you want to start on the
Yes, so
question for the chair as well? So I'll answer that.
very happy to take a look at the policy and indeed when the policy was drafted, any changes in legislation subsequent to that policy being drafted or indeed any changes in case law that would require a redraft. I'm very happy to review and take a look at that.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia. Yeah, likewise, I would expect that the policy of this nature would be kept under reasonably frequent review. And so I think if there are lessons to be learned from the case that you reference, I think we should make sure that the policy is reviewed in that light.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. So our next question then is Dan Ackroyd. Dan.
Yeah, I've got a supplementary to my question 6. Thanks for pointing me to the appendices. It will take me a while to go through them. My understanding is that the only report that lays out the future work that needs to be done is the risk report with the mitigating actions in it. But it seems that doesn't contain all of the known work items related to the IT system. How is this committee meant to be informed about the total scale of the work that is needed and so be able to gain insight into how many years it is going to take to fix this mess?
So there is there's a housing IT transformation program board which considers what's required to be done in order to implement the new IT system and make sure that we have the right data systems. I am conscious that board hasn't reported directly to this committee, so that's something I think we should probably take away and let's look at getting a report to the committee. Is that something that we'll be able to do in a reasonable time?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm obviously recently appointed and will be taking over the chair of that board. Given as we're getting so close now to the implementation date of what you rightly acknowledge is a really important piece of work for us, is that we have appointed somebody to bring some external eyes on, just to make sure that all of the areas that need to be covered are covered, to understand any risks in relation to the implementation and our ability to go live and to make a success of the implementation. Is implementing large IT systems that have been fraught with issues, but actually on the face of it, it would appear that the programme has had a programme board throughout, that the scope of the project is well known, but we are now getting very close to implementation date, and particularly very close to some of our other systems actually going offline. So we are just bringing in that somebody external just to give us that additional assurance. And I feel like actually that would be something that would be helpful to come to this committee to provide assurance externally on the programme itself and our ability to deliver it successfully.
Thank you. Dan, do you have further supplementary?
Yes, I do. I've got a comment that information should have been at this committee 12 months ago at the very least. And it's a failure that it's taken this long to get to it. A second failure is Miss Farrow's first question, the answer to her first question. She asked very clearly whether the emails would be available to the inquiry. She did not ask what you thought might be the terms of reference to the inquiry. She has come here today seeking to get an answer. You've just repeated the same evasive answer. Please can she have a clear answer of whether the emails will be available to an inquiry if they need them?
Thanks, Dan. I think, as I said in my response to Ferdinand, I don't have that information. I don't know, what emails are retained. So we're going to go away and we're going to find that out.
Okay.
Do you have a further supplementary?
It was along the lines of when you're going to start making sure officers are actually going to start answering questions, but I don't expect a response. So.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Don't go too far.
We're going to move on then to public forum statements. We've received 5 statements to this meeting, and 2 people have indicated that they would like to speak to them. The first of those is Fatima Farah.
After 2 years of campaign, I've had my first summer holiday and came back yesterday. I know some officers would like Barton House situation to just go away, but it's not going away until we get the answers that we need. And it's a failure for Bristol City Council what happened to my community. I'm not saying all the officers are bad. Like, I've worked with Mark Kent, who has been very good. I'm very ready to impress some officers. My understanding is that local authorities, including the council, have legal and ethical duty to retain records related to emergency incidents for longer periods than standard business as usual. Communications is ensured accountability, enable through the reviews and support any future inquiry. Oh, sorry, am I reading the... Okay. Sorry, it's long, I've had a long night, but what I'm saying is we need Barton House investigation to go through honestly, and we need all the emails and messages available for the investigation. And Barton House situation is not going away until we get the answers that we need. The officers need to stop undermining Barton House residents. Thank you.
And our next public statement is from Dan Ackwood.
The response to Ms Farrell's question is evasive and offensive. The question was not how an inquiry is going to be established, it was are the emails going to be available or not. Get a grip on your committee and get an answer. This bit in particular was offensive. This is not, from reading from the answer, this is not an inquiry into the working activities of the Mayor of Bristol. Correct. It'd be an inquiry into how this council cocked up an evacuation that led to people being traumatised because of the incompetence of the people involved. Full council was cancelled by 2:30. There was no information at all given to residents until 7 p.m. The evacuation didn't really start until past 8 p.m, past kids' bedtime. What the hell was going on all day? Did anyone in the Mayor's office try to prevent the evacuation from happening? I mean, it was inconvenient, wasn't it? The day of the Mayor's big speech in Kigali in Rwanda, that he had this evacuation going on. I have reason to suspect that trying to manage an evacuation while hobnobbing at a conference is likely to lead to delays in making decisions and communicating with the public. This council needs to hold a proper inquiry and not one set up to sweep things under the rugs, because £10 million was spent that possibly could have been avoided, and because the council inflicted harm through its incompetence. Councillor Parsons, you need to get a grip on your committee. You look like you don't have full control over officers. Just last bit, shutting down the Housing Management Board and not having a replacement in place until close to 18 months later looks like an absolutely disgusting decision.
That's the end of public forum now. So we're going to move on to agenda item 7, which is the annual business report. This report presents to the committee membership, sharing arrangements, terms of reference and the meeting dates of this policy committee for the 2025-26 municipal year. This is a non-key decision and the report is for noting. I'm now going to invite Rose Cross, Policy Committee Officer, to introduce and outline the report.
Thank you, Chair. So this report outlines the membership of the Homes and Housing Delivery Policy Committee for 25-26. It notes the appointment of yourself, Councillor Barry Parsons, as the Chair of the Committee. It notes the appointment of Councillor Richard Eddy as the Vice Chair of the Committee, the terms of reference for this Policy Committee, and also the meeting dates for 25-26. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rose. Do members have any questions for Rose on that report? No? Thank you very much. In that case then, what I'm going to do now is to read out the recommendation of the report. And that is that the Homes and Housing Delivery Committee notes the membership of the Homes and Housing Delivery Policy Committee for 2025-6, notes the appointment of Councillor Barry Parsons as the Chair of the Homes and Housing Delivery Policy Committee for the 25-26 year, notes the appointment of Councillor Richard Eddy as the Vice Chair of the Homes and Housing Delivery Policy Committee for 25-26, and notes the terms of reference of this committee. Finally, that it notes the meeting dates for the Homes and Housing Delivery Policy Committee for 25-26. Thank you very much. Can I take it that those are all duly noted? Thank you. Agenda item 8 then is the finance report update. This report presents to the committee the Housing and Landlord Services financial forecast at period 12 against the approved budget at the end of May 24. This is a non-key decision and the report is for noting. I'm going to invite Martin Johnson, who is the Finance Business Partner for Housing, to introduce and outline the report. The Policy Committee team are going to display Martin's finance presentation on the screen. This has also been published online and circulated to members if you prefer to look at it on your own screen.
Thank you, Chair. The Period 12 Finance Update reports on the revenue and capital provisional outturn positions of both the General Fund and the HRA. General Fund revenue shows a provisional overspend of 2.9 million, capital underspend of 5.7 million against a revised budget of 23.9 million. The HRA revenue provisional outturn position is a 2.4 million overspend. I'll come on to the reasons for this movement later from what we've seen previously.